Good morning, good morning. The time for convening has arrived. Senate will come to order. Recognize the senator from the 6th.
Good morning, Mr. President. Happy day 39. We got 2 days left together. I'm gonna miss you, but we'll get to that later. Mr. President, we got a great group of pages here from all over this great state, and there's so many of them, I'm just gonna get right to it. Out of Bogart, Luke Addison. From Statesboro, we have Mackenzie Banter. From Woodstock, Addison Kate Beck. From Cumming, we have Vrissa Bott. From Locust Grove, Turner Breedlove. From Cumming, Eli Brown. From Marietta, we have Hampton and Hazel Green, brother and sister, and they're also niece and nephew of Capital friend Will Bentley. From Kathleen, Georgia, we have Abigail and Braden Head, brother and sister. And they're also, no, I'm sorry. Next we have from Marietta, Mary Paxton Heron, who is the niece of our very own Senator McNeil. From Athens, we have Bennett Hicks. From Atlanta, brother and sister George and Elizabeth Jeffers. From McDonough, TJ Kolpak. From Sonoy, Benjamin Lear. Then we have Alexander Lucas from Macon. Then we have from Lithonia, Whitley Nelson. From Jefferson, Annabelle Pritchard. From Decula, brothers Jacob and Joshua Rogers. From Duluth, John Michael Singbush. From Dallas, Emily Smith. And from Lithonia, Cameron Smith. And last but not least, from Savannah, we have Karis Wilson. Y'all give these pages a big round of applause. We appreciate your service and serving the great people of the great state of Georgia. Mr. President, I've been flipping through the journal and I've found no errors. It is correct. So I'd like to make a motion we dispense with the reading of the journal.
Is there objection to dispensing of the reading of the journal? Chair hears none. The reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there objection to confirmation of the journal? Chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. I want to thank all our pages for being here today. Hope y'all have a great day, and it's going to be a great 2 days, Senator. You got your haircut and everything. All right. Secretary will read reports of the Standing Committee.
Mr. President, the Senate Committee on State and Local Government Operations has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. Senate Bill 629, due pass by substitute. House Bill 1500, due pass by substitute. House Bill 1548, due pass. House Bill 1549, due pass. House Bill 1550, due pass. House Bill 1553, due pass. House Bill 1557, due pass. House Bill 1567, due pass by substitute. House Bill 1570, due pass. House Bill 1571, due pass. House Bill 1578, due pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Dixon, the 45th District Chairman. Mr. President, that completes the order.
It is now time for the morning roll call. Are there any motions to excuse? Any motions to excuse? Recognize Senator from the 18th.
I would ask the senator from the 19th District be excused for business within the Capitol.
All right, without objection, the Senator from the 19th is excused. Any motions to excuse? Hearing none. Secretary will call the roll. Senators, signify your presence by voting the yea switch. Secretary will unlock the machine. If I could have everyone's attention real quick, we're going to go a little bit out of order today. We've got special guests here, as we do with every one of our congressional members that come here to this chamber. We always like to give them, number one, to welcome them and thank them for their service, but also give them opportunity to address this body. Today we have Congressman Andrew Clyde, who's the congressman from the 9th Congressional District. Congressman Clyde has been serving going on 6 years now in Congress. He reigns from Jackson County. And originally, he's got an Athens address, but he's in Jackson County, believe it or not. But he's a small business owner. He's a very common sense conservative person. He's doing a great job representing the 9th Congressional District. And if y'all could give him a warm welcome, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant Governor, and good morning. It's a great honor to be here in the chamber of the Georgia Senate and to have the opportunity to share just a few words about my work in the U.S. Congress for our great state and how Washington needs a lot more of what Georgia already has. For the past 5 years, I've had the privilege of representing Georgia's 9th Congressional District. I serve on both the House Appropriations and the Budget Committees. Washington isn't known for fiscal responsibility, so fighting to ensure everything from our 12 annual appropriation bills to budget reconciliation are done in a fiscally responsible manner is tough but important work. As a staunch fiscal hawk, I'm truly honored to be part of these processes, and we've been pretty effective through my work on these committees, especially in the One Big Beautiful Bill. First, I want to thank you all for maintaining a balanced budget in our state, and now Georgia even has a significant surplus. I speak about that accomplishment quite regularly in D.C. as I consider it a Georgia value that Washington desperately needs. Last week, our national debt surpassed $39 trillion, the very same day the House voted on a balanced budget amendment to the U.S. Constitution. That House floor vote was not only something that I helped secure last year during negotiations involving the One Big Beautiful Bill, but it also put members of Congress on record as to where they stood. Our national debt is truly our greatest internal threat, and it's not being taken seriously in Washington. It takes a two-thirds majority vote to pass a constitutional amendment, but only one Democrat voted with all Republicans for this critical reform. Though the vote got a simple majority, it did not get a two-thirds majority, so it ultimately did not pass. Yet it was important to have this vote so American people could see who truly cares about our nation's fiscal future and who does not. Again, I commend our great state of Georgia for operating under a balanced budget. I've long told my constituents that I aim to bring North Georgia values to Washington, and fiscal sanity is at the top of that list. So thank you for being responsible stewards of Georgia's dollars and for staying on course. I also want to thank you for your work to improve election integrity. Our republic cannot stand without free, fair, and secure elections. In fact, our great state of Georgia knows that all too well. Your successful work on SB 202 was the very beginning of the turnaround for Georgia, and for that, I'm very grateful. My Republican colleagues and I are also fighting on this front from the federal side in Washington through the Save America Act. This critical bill requires three simple things. 1, photo ID to vote. 2, proof of U.S. citizenship to register to vote. And 3, states must purge their existing voter rolls of all non-citizens. I proudly voted for the Save America Act last month, and I will continue urging the U.S. Senate to pass it immediately by using a talking filibuster. Fiscal restraint and election integrity are arguably two of the most important issues for the Peach State in our country. It's critical that both state and federal lawmakers are working together on these matters, and so I deeply appreciate you leading on these efforts here in Georgia as my conservative colleagues and I carry on the battle in Washington. Northeast Georgia is a special place for me, and I consider it a true honor to serve the folks of the 9th District, to represent our shared values and to advance our common sense priorities. I always stand ready to work with my state and local partners to improve the lives of Georgians, so please don't hesitate to reach out if you need assistance on the federal side. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. May God protect our troops that are in harm's way as they protect our nation. May God bless our great state and our country. Thank you. Soli Deo Gloria.
All right, good job. It is now time for the morning devotion. And all senators, please take your seats and cease all conversation. I would ask that the doorkeepers secure the chamber at this time. I now recognize the senator from the 10th, who I guess since this is day 39, this will be his last pastor of the day. He's been doing this a long time, but I'll recognize the senator from the 10th. And he'll introduce our pastor of the day and lead us in our pledge. Senator?
Thank you, Mr. President. Please stand as we pledge allegiance to the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now the Georgia flag. I pledge allegiance to the Georgia flag and the principles which it stands, wisdom, justice, honorable, and courage. Thank you, Mr. President and colleagues. I am excited to introduce our pastor today. Dr. Don Brawley III is a trusted voice to leaders navigating both the marketplace and ministry. He served for over 30 years as a senior pastor of Impact Church in Snellville in Gwinnett County, and 20 years as a coach to executives, entrepreneurs, church leaders. He earned his doctorate in strategic leadership from Regent University and advanced training really in AI, artificial intelligence, from the University of Oxford's Syed Business School. He has also served the vision of influential ministry leaders such as Bishop Dale Bronner, Dr. Samuel Chan, and Bishop Tudor Bismarck. As an executive coach, Dr. Brawley has worked with C-suite leaders and mid-level managers and global companies, including Uber, Salesforce, Microsoft, KPMG, Coca-Cola, Northwestern Mutual, and the list goes on and on and on. As a consultant to local churches, Dr. Brawley helped pastors and ministry teams engage in strategic planning to lead cultural transformation and achieve organizational alignment so their congregations can flourish. He has come alongside church leaders to unleash their God-given potential, align vision with calling, and cultivate ministry cultures where people thrive and kingdom impact multiplies. Dr. Brawley is joined by his wife, Ms. Mona Brawley, and members from his church as well. She is co-pastor of Impact. And Dr. Brawley also serves as the president of Don Brawley Consulting, where he blends biblical insight and practical leadership tools, innovative strategy, and emerging technologies to ignite transformation and help leaders around the world. It is indeed my great honor and privilege to introduce our pastor today, Pastor Brawley.
Thank you, Senator Jones and Lieutenant Jones, for having me here, and to all the senators here. It's truly an honor to stand before you this morning. I understand that you have a lot of work to do today, that it's going to be a long day. So they told me that my devotional was short, so I'm going to make sure that I give you the short version. I'm going to give you the miniskirt version. That's the one that's short enough to keep it interesting, but long enough to cover the subject matter. I want to just sort of share my heart. It's been over 30 years that I accepted the call from God to relocate from Long Island to come to Atlanta to plant Impact Church. And after 3 decades, there's some things that I learned about service to the community, some things that I learned about leadership and decision making. And one of the lessons that I learned is real simple. Leadership would be a whole lot easier if every issue were straightforward, if every outcome were predictable, and if all stakeholders agreed. But that's not the reality that we get to serve in or the reality that we get to lead in. The reality is that leadership and service are lived out in complexity. I found out that it's lived out when you have competing priorities, limited resources, multiple perspectives, and we're called to make decisions that have real-world consequences. And so the deeper question is not so much, what decision do we make? The deeper question is, what kind of leadership brings clarity and complexity, and what kind of leaders can lead well in that context? And I want to just spend the next few moments sort of sharing around that and what I found in Scripture about what that looks like. Because although we have different complexities today in 2026, then when the Scriptures were recorded, they too had their share of complexity and had to find a place of clarity to serve and to lead from. And there's a person in Scripture by the name of King David. And David was Israel's second king after Saul's failed leadership. And when David assumes the throne, David doesn't just assume the throne, he assumes complexity. Because during that time, Israel was divided politically. They were divided between if they were going to follow the house of Saul and Saul's son Ishbosheth, or if they were going to follow after David and what Judah believed to be Israel's second king. So they were divided politically. They were threatened externally by the nations around it, threatening to attack and overcome it. They were strained internally because there was a lot of conflict on the inside. And spiritually, they had drifted far from God. They were caught in this cycle of spiritual drift and unfaithfulness to God. And it's in that context that after rehearsing all that Israel had done and failed to do in following after God, that this one verse shifts the whole entire of Psalm 78. It's Psalm 78, verse 72. And it reads this way. And David shepherded them with integrity of heart, with skillful hands, he led them. David does two things that turns a whole psalm that shows nothing but challenges and failed leadership it turns it around and ends on a positive note. Two things he does. One, it says is that he shepherds them with integrity of heart. What does it mean when it says integrity of heart? You know, integrity of heart is describing who David was. It's been said that our integrity is who we are when no one's looking. That, you know, our integrity, our resumes do a good job of showing what we do. Our bios do a great job of showing what we do, but it's our integrity that shows who we are. And so David's integrity is shown, and the scripture says that it was his integrity that gave him success. And the second thing is that he led his nation, he led his people, even in the midst of complexity, with skillful hands. What does that mean, leading with skillful hands? It means that not only did David have good judgment on what he should do, but he knew how to get it done. He knew how to execute on what should be done. And I submit to you this morning that if we're going to be the leaders that we need to be, and I don't just mean here in the Senate, and I don't mean just in the House, I mean in our houses, in our communities, in the marketplace that we may be a part of, in our faith communities. If we're going to be those leaders, we too have got to have skillful hands that we can get things done in the middle of complexity. Now here's the challenge. The challenge is it's easy to find one or the other. It's hard to find both. So some folks have integrity of heart. They know exactly what to do. They know why they need to do it, and they know to get it done, right? But they don't have skillful hands. And so when you have integrity of heart, but you don't have skillful hands, you know what to do, but you can't execute it. And when you have skillful hands, but you don't have integrity of heart, you can't get it done because you can't sustain the trust that's required to get it done. My prayer for us as you guys continue with your day, as I continue in the place that the Lord has sent me to labor, is that we would be leaders known not just for our integrity, but also for our skillful hands. Leaders not just known for our skillful hands, but also for our integrity. Because when we are known and when we walk in integrity of heart and skillful hands, we bring clarity in the mix of complexity. And our testimony will be whenever we finish our assignment. I don't know how long I'll pastor Impact Church for. It's 32 years. I don't know if it's 35, if it's 40, if it's 50. But when I leave that assignment, my prayer is that the people that I have served would say, he served me well. He served me with integrity of heart and with skillful hands. I don't know how long you're going to be sitting in the seats that you're sitting in. But my prayer for you as well is that the people that you serve will be able to look to you and say, he or she served us well with integrity of heart and skillful hands. And with that, I'd like to close out in a word of prayer. Would you bow your heads with me as we stand together? Let's pray. Lord, thank you for the opportunity today, Lord, to lead and serve. I pray for every leader in this space. That's every mother, every father, everyone that leads a family, leads in their community, leads in the house of worship, leads in the marketplace, and leads here in this Senate floor. I pray, oh God, that you would strengthen their hearts and sharpen their hands. God, I pray that you would give us integrity in who we are and wisdom in what we do, oh God. I pray that you would that you would help these to lead well in complex moments, oh God, to remain steady under pressure and to make decisions that reflect what is right. God, may their leadership bring clarity and stability and good to the people that they serve. We ask all these blessings in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Thank you.
We like to introduce the Doctor of the Day, and I'm going to recognize the Senator from the 29th to introduce our Doctor of the Day. Senator?
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. Friends, I'm honored today to introduce the Doctor of the Day. Dr. L. Joy Baker is a board-certified general obstetrician and gynecologist in LaGrange, Georgia. She's worked in both urban and rural communities for over 15 years. After completing her medical school and residency training with honors at Morehouse School of Medicine and Grady Health System, she currently serves as Director for Quality and Safety for Women's Health and Vice Chair at the Department of OBGYN and Pediatrics at Wellstar West Georgia Medical Center. She is one of the first physicians in the United States to complete the HRSA Fellowship in Transformational Healthcare Leadership at Morehouse School of Medicine. Devoted to servant leadership since her time at LaGrange College, Dr. Baker was selected for the American College of OBGYN's prestigious CELEFO National Leadership Institute and Medical Association of Georgia's Physician Leadership Academy, earning her recognition as Georgia Trend's top doc in OBGYN. In 2024, Dr. Baker was named Wellstar West Georgia's Physician of the Year. Dr. Baker holds several special certifications in prenatal mental health, as well as treatment of addiction in pregnancy. She is designated as a surgeon of excellence in robotic and minimally invasive gynecological surgery by the SRC. Her clinical and research interests include health equity, reduction of maternal morbidity and mortality, statewide prenatal quality improvement, and minimally invasive GYN surgery. She speaks on these topics both locally, regionally, and nationally. In response to COVID-19 pandemic, Dr. Baker launched Delivering Joy MD on social media platforms to provide reliable women's health information. In 2023, she partnered with BTV 33 to broadcast her Well Women Wednesday segment on local TV and Roku stations. Dr. Baker is a Georgia native, born in LaGrange, Georgia, to a family with a long history of service in LaGrange and surrounding communities. She is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority and the Links Incorporated. She is married to Mr. Alvin Links Sr. and attends Impact Methodist Church, where she is a certified lay minister. Dr. Baker enjoys roller skating, music, books, discount shopping, and interior design. Ladies and gentlemen, senators, peers, please help me welcome Dr. Joy Baker.
Good morning, senators. I'm Dr. Joy Baker. I am a practicing OBGYN in LaGrange, Georgia. So I thank my senator for that kind introduction. I am delighted to be here today with you all to serve you as your doctor of the day. I see some familiar faces in the audience, probably some people whose nerves I've got on talking about things. But I'm so happy to be here with you guys. As the senator said, I am an obstetrician and gynecologist. And so I would like to thank you for the work that you are doing to help us promote healthy mothers and healthy babies. We all know that Georgia has faced some challenges, and we know that turning those numbers around depends on what I do in the exam room in the hospital, but also what you do right here under the Gold Dome. So I am very appreciative of all of your work here. And if you have a medical question, you need your blood pressure checked, you need a little aspirin or Tylenol, I will be there for you, and I'm happy to serve. Thank you so much for having me.
unanimous consents. You need to excuse somebody? Well, go ahead and be recognized, Senator. Recognize the senator from the 43rd.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 28th.
Without objection, the senator from the 28th is excused.
I'm sorry, and the senator from the 12th.
The 12th? And the senator, oh yeah. Without objection, the senator from the 12th is excused. I understand on points of personal privilege, there's a number of people who will be giving their farewell to the Senate, and so it's look forward to those speeches, and I appreciate all those who have served in this body and those who will continue on to something else. I know a lot of guys, a lot of ladies and gentlemen here are running for higher office, and wish them the best of luck. And I appreciate their service. It is now time for points of personal privilege, and I recognize the good senator from the 14th. Point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. There's plenty of time for sentimentality later. This will be the last dose of... thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate that. This will be the last dose of some Trump news that I give you as a member of this body. A little bit of Trump news, just to keep you guys apprised of the health of your democracy. As of March 2026, the Small Business Administration will no longer be issuing loans, small business loans, to green card holders, lawful permanent residents of the United States. And to my knowledge, that prohibition goes so far as to exclude any business that is partly owned by somebody who is a green card holder and not a U.S. citizen. I shouldn't have to remind this body how important those loans are to small businesses. And for somebody who has gone through all of the steps, followed all the rules to become a lawful permanent resident of the United States, to exist, to live here, to work, raise a family, just like U.S. citizens, there's no reason to do it. There's no reason to cut them off from these small business loans. They invest hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars per small business owner in our economy. I know of a case actually where there's a national of another country who is being detained by ICE, who has collectively invested over $1 million into this economy, into Georgia specifically, but is being detained by ICE simply because she isn't from here. So I know that this is not news to you, that the government is cracking down, quote unquote, on immigration in every way it possibly can. But as we move into the middle part of the year and later this year, I think it's important to remember that this government is making draconian, senseless decisions to cut off investment, cut off our nose to spite our face, just because in 2024 the president ran on a platform of being anti-immigration. So there's your quick reminder. I hope somehow this traverses the blood-brain barrier of your attention span into your long-term memory and consciousness, so that in the 2030s and 2040s you think back, oh yeah, cutting off small business loans. That was one of many things that this administration cruelly and senselessly did to people who followed all the rules. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the will.
Recognize the senator from the 38th.
Thank you, Mr. President. My folks are on their way up, but I want to recognize some really special folks that I have here at the Capitol today. As many folks in this chamber know, I'm very passionate about education, having served as a school leader. And so each year, well, this is only my second year, I bring principals from my district up. And so I just wanted to recognize them, and I'll have them come into the chamber at some point once they make their way up. But I have from the Howard School, which is a language-based school that helps students with learning disabilities. And the school leader's name is Anna Moore. That school has been in Atlanta since 1950. Buckhead Prep is a small private school that was founded in 2000 and is in the North Buckhead area. And Miss Amanda McGee is here. KIPP Atlantic Collegiate, the school principal is Arthur Washington, and they are over in West Atlanta. And Dr. McCormick is the new leader of KIPP Metro Atlanta Schools. They have 11 schools in the metro area. He was formerly the deputy superintendent in Jackson, Mississippi, and we all know the great work that is happening in Mississippi and that we are looking to replicate here and going to even go further and above what they've done with the Mississippi Miracle and doing some great things here in Georgia as it relates to early childhood literacy. And so I just want to recognize them, as well as Oakley Elementary School. Miss Uche is here, who is in Fulton County Schools. And we all know the importance of education, but it's so important to have a school leader who knows what they're doing and supports their leaders. There has been studies that have shown that school leaders that are effective can add an additional 3 months of success in math and reading by supporting their teachers. And so I just want to recognize those leaders and recognize all of the school leaders across this state for the work that you do, because it can sometimes be a very thankless role and your only approach when someone has a problem. But I just want to make sure that you know that folks in this Senate appreciate the work that you do across this state, and we'll continue to do all that we can as far as education to improve outcomes for students and support our educators across the state. And with that, Mr. President, I yield the will.
I recognize the senator from the 5th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. I didn't realize it would be that quick. Anyway, I appreciate, dear colleagues. As you know, we passed Resolution S34 recognizing the contribution of Bangladeshi peacekeeper at the UN around the world. And you know that I appreciate your vote.
Stand by,
passed
Senator.
it unanimously.
Stand by just a second. Senators, y'all please cease all audible conversation. If you need to meet with somebody, take it off the floor. Let's give the senators our attention, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I'm honored today. We have some of the retired Army officers. They are in Georgia residents. They are some of my constituency, some of your constituency. They are here at the gallery today. And it's my privilege and distinct honor to introduce to you my friend, the Army Chief of Staff of Bangladesh, General Waqar-Uzzaman, is standing right here. So please give him, Senator, him and the other guy. Please rise. Now. I just want to mention something. This is not his first time here. He went, he spent some time doing his early career at Fort Benning in Columbus. So he knows Georgia well enough to be here. So I appreciate his coming all the way from Bangladesh to receive this resolution for us. And he met with the governor today. Hopefully we can spend some time with the lieutenant governor. And we're going to be, I got a mezzanine room 1 set up for him from 12 to 3. Please come and join him and say thanks to him for his contribution. And some of the officers that we have, they serve honorably at the United Nations peacekeeping to make sure the peace around the world, do whatever it takes. Not necessarily they serve as a peacekeeping, but they do a lot of work in terms of uplifting all around the world, helping the needy, the war-torn folks. So make sure they have a better life, the country prosper. And in Bangladesh, he has done so much. As you know, recently we had an election in Bangladesh, so he helped make sure democracy flourish. He is for democracy, and I can say go on and on, but I know limited time I can say myself. But thank you, and appreciate it. Come and meet him when you have a time later on. If we have, in between, you can be the mezzanine from 12 to 2. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Does any other senator wish to rise on a point of personal privilege? Seeing none, we'll move on. You have before you a consent calendar of privileged resolutions. Does any senator wish to remove a resolution from the consent calendar? Is there objection to the adoption of the resolutions on the consent calendar? Chair hears none, and the resolutions on the consent calendar are adopted. Senators, if I could get your attention, today's a special day. Not only is it day 39 and a busy day here at the General Assembly, but it's Mr. Robert Brown's birthday today. So y'all please pay attention, and I will ask the Secretary to read a resolution.
Senate Resolution 1076 by Senator Walker of the 20th and others. A resolution honoring Robert Brown on the occasion of his 80th birthday and for other purposes. Whereas Bob Brown was born on March 31st, 1946 in the town of Jellicoe in East Tennessee. And whereas after completing high school, Bob answered the call to serve his country by enlisting in the United States Army and serving honorably for 15 months in Vietnam, including during the Tet Offensive, and earning a Bronze Star for his courage and sacrifice. And whereas upon returning home in 1968, Bob made Georgia his home and began a long and distinguished career with General Motors, working at the Lakewood plant in southeast Atlanta and later at the Doraville plant, where he dedicated 35 years of service before retiring in 2003. Whereas Bob continued his commitment to public service when he joined the Georgia State Senate in 2017 as a doorkeeper, serving under then Sergeants at Arms John Long and Jerry Cooley. And whereas in recognition of his dedication, leadership, and integrity, Bob was elected Sergeant at Arms of the Georgia Senate in 2023. And whereas Bob has demonstrated deep and abiding passion for the Georgia State Capitol and the Georgia State Senate, generously sharing his knowledge, stories, and appreciation for the history and architecture of the Capitol with its visitors, many of whom have remarked on the lasting impression he leaves. And whereas in addition to his professional accomplishments, Bob enjoys camping, hiking, serving as a longtime member of the Over the Hill Hiking Club, and gardening, having served as president of the Buckhead Men's Gardening Club. And whereas known for his warm and welcoming spirit, Bob has never met a stranger, forming lasting friendships through simple acts of kindness and conversation. Now therefore be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body honor and commend Robert Bob Brown on the joyous occasion of his 80th birthday and extend their sincere congratulations and best wishes for many more years of health and happiness and continued service. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Is there objection to the adoption of the resolution? Is there objection to the adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. We sure appreciate Mr. Robert. He's a true Southern gentleman. He's served his country and served his state and now serves the Senate and looks after us, and I appreciate your friendship, Mr. Robert. Happy birthday. Are there any motions to withdraw and commit? You have before you a consent calendar of local bills. Mr. Secretary, have any objections been filed to any of the bills on the local consent calendar?
Mr. President, an objection has been filed. As provided for in Senate Rule 4-2.8b, we, the undersigned senators, hereby file an objection to House Bill 1567, which is on the local consent calendar for today, and hereby request that it be moved to the Senate local contested calendar. Respectfully submitted, Senator Watson of the 11th, Jackson of the 41st, and Orrock of the 36th. Mr. President, that completes the order.
All right, so House Bill 1567 has been removed from the consent calendar due to the objection, but we will take up the other bills on the consent calendar. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the Committee on State and Local Government Operations, which is favorable to the passage of the bills on the local consent calendar? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. The question on the passage of the bill on local consent calendar. All those in favor will vote yea, opposed nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. Senator from the 14th, what purpose do you rise?
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. President.
State your inquiry.
Mr. President, just for clarification, this vote does exclude House Bill 1567. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President.
On the passage of the bills on the local consent calendar, the yeas are 45 and the nays are 0. The bills on the local consent calendar having received the requisite constitutional majority are therefore passed. Secretary will read the caption of House Bill 1567.
House Bill 1567 by Representative LaHood of the 175th and others. A bill to be entitled an act to repeal an act to amend, consolidate, and supersede the several acts of the General Assembly of the State of Georgia pertaining to the City of Quitman and the County of Brooks, approved March 3, 1962, as amended, to provide for transfer of duties and obligations to Brooks County, to provide for transfer of all legal rights, privileges, and assets to Brooks County, to establish a special tax and service district for outstanding bonded indebtedness and other obligations, to provide for related matters, to provide an effective date, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Committee of the Senate on State and Local Government Operations recommends that this bill do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Dixon of the 45th District Chairman. Mr. President, Senator Watson of the 11th District offers the following amendment to House Bill 1567, a bill to be entitled an act to amend. A bill to be entitled an act to repeal under certain conditions an act to amend, consolidate, and supersede the several acts of the General Assembly of the State of Georgia pertaining to the City of Quitman and the County of Brooks, approved March 3, 1962, as amended, to provide for a referendum on the concept of consolidating the governments of the City of Quitman and Brooks County, and for other purposes. Mr. President, that completes the order.
I recognize the senator from the 11th to speak to House Bill 1567.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, this is an important piece of local legislation for me back home. We've made multiple accommodations and tried to assist the local government in helping them with this situation. And so we've actually got a sub here where we've made further changes to try to accommodate them and make things work out for them. So just would greatly appreciate your support on this issue for me back home. Thank you.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none, and the previous question is ordered. Question on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Hearing none, the committee substitute is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill by substitute. All those in favor will vote yea, opposed nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 31 and the nays are 16. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed by substitute. You have before you a consent calendar for study committees. Is there objection to any of the study committees on the consent calendar? Hearing none, we will vote on the consent calendar for Senate study committees. All those in favor will vote yea. Opposed, nay. The Secretary will unlock the machine. On the adoption of the resolution on the consent calendar, the yeas are 48, the nays are 0, and the resolutions on the Senate consent calendar for study committees having received the requisite constitutional majority are therefore adopted. Senator from the 36th, what purpose do you rise?
I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 5th District for business inside the Capitol.
Without objection, the senator from the 5th is excused. Senator from the 31st, you're recognized for a motion.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that the following bills be engrossed. HB 52, HB 248, HB 963, HB 964, HB 1001, HB 1077, HB 1116, HB 1129, HB 1132, and HB 1209.
Secretary will read the captions.
House Bill 52 by Representatives Rice of the 139th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 48-5-48 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to homestead exemption by qualified disabled veteran filing requirements, periodic substantiation of eligibility persons eligible without application and retroactive reward, and for other purposes. House Bill 248 by Representatives Jasper of the 11th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 7 of Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to income taxes so as to provide for a tax credit for certain expenses incurred by taxpayers for certain geothermal machinery installations at residential dwellings and for other purposes. House Bill 963 by Representatives Martin of the 49th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 5 of Title 21 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to government transparency in campaign finance so as to prohibit foreign nationals from contributing to or participating in any campaign to bring about the approval or rejection by the voters of any proposed question which appears on the ballot and for other purposes. House Bill 964 by Representatives Cannon of the 172nd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to revenue and taxation so as to exempt from the state and local title ad valorem tax fee certain motor vehicles used in the provision of fire protection services for local governments and for other purposes. House Bill 1001 by Representatives Wade of the 9th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 2 of Chapter 7 of Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the imposition, rate, computation, exemptions, and credits relative to income taxes so as to reduce the rate of the tax and for other purposes. House Bill 1077 by Representatives Williams of the 148th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 48-8-3 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to exemptions from sales and use taxes so as to extend the sunset date applicable to the exemption for sales of tickets, fees, and charges of admission to certain museums and fine arts performances or exhibitions at nonprofit facilities and for other purposes. House Bill 1116 by Representatives Blackman of the 146th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 5 and 8 of Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to ad valorem taxation of property and sales and use taxes respectively so as to provide for the acceptance of tax digest in the event of a publication error made by a newspaper, to amend Part 4 of Article 6 of Chapter 2, Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to financing under the Quality Basic Education Act so as to include amounts attributable to certain exemptions from ad valorem taxation from the Equalized Adjusted School Property Tax digest for the purpose of calculating the local 5 mil share and equalization grants and for other purposes. House Bill 1129 by Representative Seabaugh of the 34th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 36-88-6 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to criteria for enterprise zone so as to provide for designation of enterprise zones and for other purposes. House Bill 1132 by Representatives Franklin of the 160th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 1 of Article 1 of Chapter 8 of Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions relative to state sales and use tax so as to exempt from state and local sales and use taxation materials used in construction, renovation, and rehabilitation of affordable housing by purely public charities and for other purposes. House Bill 1209 by Representative Steffens of the 164th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 48-8-3 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to exemptions relative to state sales and use taxes so as to provide for a sales and use tax exemption for purposes of tangible property and construction materials used for or in the construction and furnishing of certain buildings and for other purposes. Mr. President, that completes the order.
The Majority Leader has moved that House Bill 52, House Bill 248, House Bill 963, House Bill 964, House Bill 1001, House Bill 1077, House Bill 1116, House Bill 1129, House Bill 1132, and House Bill 1209 be engrossed. Is there objection? There is objection. Would the Majority Leader like to speak to his motion? He waives. Does the senator from the 2nd wish to speak to his motion? He waives. The Majority Leader has moved that all the pre-named bills be engrossed. All those in favor of the motion will vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. The Secretary will unlock the machine. On the motion to engross, the yeas are 33 and the nays are 15. The motion has prevailed, and the House bills that we listed are engrossed. Ms. Secretary, please read a message to us from the House of Representatives.
Mr. President, The following message was received from the House through Mr. Riley, the clerk thereof. Mr. President, the House insists on its position in disagreeing to the Senate's substitute and has appointed a committee of conference to confer with a like committee on the part of the Senate on the following bill of the House. House Bill 974 by Representative Burns of the 159th and others. A bill to be entitled an act to make and provide appropriations for the state fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2026 and ending June 30th, 2027, and for other purposes. The Speaker has appointed on the part of the House Representatives Hatchett of the 155th, Representative Evstration of the 104th, and Representative Jones of the 47th. Mr. President, that completes the order.
I recognize the senator from the 19th for a motion.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate adhere to substitute to House Bill 974 and that a committee of conference, the best and brightest that this body may have. If you don't know, Mr. President, the House had walk-up music to Here We Go Round in Circles on this. So I think, Mr. President, I need something from your side, if you don't mind, for this appointment of this, hopefully a committee on conference.
Mr. Chairman, you're welcome to come speak to your motion. Yes, sir. Be in the upper chamber, the more deliberative chamber, the more dignified chamber. We're going to stick by our decorum and forego any walk-up music, Mr. Chairman.
Case and he said, I'll start this show.
Senator, you're out of order.
Mr. President, they did it again. As you know, we've been working on this budget for 9 months. Lines in this budget that cross all areas of the state. People in this budget from every single corner of our state are impacted. And after your work, diligent hours, you know, we didn't leave at 2:30 on Friday, boys. Somebody did. So as we stayed here working, the House in its infinite wisdom, we passed this budget over twice. You know they insisted of their position the first time. We sent it back and just asked them to reconsider one more time. But Mr. President, they did not. We stand now with a position that the House has insisted on its position as it relates to House Bill, I think it's 974. On Friday before they left, when they left this chamber, or left this building, do you know what they chanted as they sent back the perfect document you had prepared? They chanted, "Send it back. Send it back. Send it back." Mr. President, I would first ask this body that we move right now to adjourn sine die, but and see if they don't consider the errors of their ways and possibly recede from their position. But if that not be the will of this body, then I ask that 3 appointees be appointed, that, Mr. President, you would choose our best and brightest, not our oldest and feeble. Those who are prepared to either come back behind their shield or on it. And Mr. President, with no further, if there are no questions, I'd ask that the Senate appoint its best and brightest, prepare for battle as it relates to House Bill 974.
Do you want to take any questions, Senator?
I will take them if you need me to, Mr. President.
I recognize the senator from the 2nd.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Senator, it is my humble request that with this committee of conference, the senator from the 26th be appointed, and I think he would come back with victory. Is that not true?
It is true. I do want to point out that that would take a waiver of the Senate rules. But as I look in the eyes of those in the crowd, I think every single member would vote to waive the Senate rules for that proposal. Any other questions?
Recognize the senator from the 42nd.
That's Senator Yield.
Yes, sir.
To my seatmate, I was really inspired by the song you played, and I think you made it clear that Lucifer is in our midst here. I just wanted to know, have you identified who the devil is that's behind all of this?
Mr. President, I'll yield to another question.
Are you speechless for once?
Thank you, Mr. President.
You yield the well?
I'll yield the well.
All right. The senator from the 19th District has moved that the Senate adhere to its position on House Bill 974 and that a conference committee be appointed. Is there objection? Senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr.
What purpose
President.
do you rise?
I rise to ask unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 43rd.
We'll do that in a minute. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Is there objection? Hearing none, the Senate has adhered to its position and a conference committee will be appointed. At this time, I will appoint the following senators to the Conference Committee on House Bill 974, the senator from the 20th, the senator from the 31st, and the senator from the 19th. Senator from the 26th, what purpose do you rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Mr. President, if the House insists on its position, as hard as we worked on it, I would move that the Senate adjourn, and therefore we'll get some resolution on that Appropriations Act, because they don't want to leave here without an appropriations bill. And sometimes you have to play hardball if you're going to get anything done.
Senator, you make a good point. I've got a lot of confidence in the conference committee that we'll get it worked out. Chair recognizes the senator from the 19th.
Mr. President, I have a motion.
State your motion.
I move that the senator from the 26th be appointed as a committee of escort to the conference committee on House Bill 974.
He's a wise one. He'd be helpful, that's for sure. All right. All right, we're going to take the Senate will stand at ease for 5 minutes. Senate, before we come back to order, I'm going to give the senator from the 51st an opportunity to recognize some guests in the gallery.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, Senators. I'm honored to have some guests from back home up in the gallery. It is the Lumpkin County High School wrestling team. And these aren't males, these are females. They're state champions, and we have one female wrestler that has won, I believe, 5 or 6. Raise your hand. State champion, raise your hand. 5 or 6. Is it 5 or 6 championships? 6. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give them a warm welcome to the State Senate. Lumpkin County Girls Wrestling Champions. Thank y'all for being here today.
The Senate will return to order. Senate will return to order. Secretary, read the caption of House Resolution 1300.
House Resolution 1300 by Representatives Ford of the 170th and others, a resolution recognizing the Honorable Penny Houston and dedicating a roundabout in her honor and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Committee of the Senate on Transportation recommends that this bill do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Dolezal, the 27th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Transportation offers the following substitute to House Bill 1300, a resolution dedicating certain portions of the state highway system and for other purposes. Mr. President, Senator Dolezal of the 27th District offers the following amendment. Amendment 1, amend the Senate Committee on Transportation substitute to House Resolution 1300 by inserting lines 249 and 250 the following. Whereas Mr. Robert Daniel Lockhart was born in Junction City, Georgia, and received his early education at the County Line School of Taylor, Georgia, and for other purposes. Mr. President, that completes the order.
I recognize the senator from the 27th.
Mr. President, so good to see you presiding today. We do have a few late arriving changes to our annual road naming bill. So I'm going to move that the Senate table House Resolution 1300.
Senator from the 27th has moved that H.R. 1300 be placed on the table. Is there objection? Hearing none, H.R. 1300 is placed on the table. Secretary, read the caption to House Resolution 251.
House Resolution 251 by Representatives New of the 40th and others, a resolution proposing an amendment to the Constitution so as to provide that all probate judges shall be elected in nonpartisan elections, to provide for related matters, to provide for submission of this amendment for ratification or rejection, and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Committee of the Senate on Judiciary recommends that this resolution do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Strickland, the 42nd District Chairman. Mr. President, that completes the order.
I recognize the senator from the 42nd to speak to H.R. 251.
Thank you, Mr. President. House Resolution 251 is the bill we voted on a couple weeks ago that failed to get the constitutional majority we needed. What this bill does is it allows the citizens of our state to vote to amend our Constitution to make our probate court judges nonpartisan. These are the last judges we have in our state that still, in certain places, still run with a Republican or Democrat by their name. And this is a great way to continue to try to build more trust in our judicial system by making certain that people aren't identifying as a party when they run for a probate court judge. I'm hopeful this time around we will have a unanimous vote on this, but happy to take any questions.
No questions, Senator. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? The chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair recognizes the senator from the 17th.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous position to excuse the senator from the 43rd and the 55th.
Without objection, the senator from the 43rd and 55th are excused. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none and the previous question is ordered. Is there objection to agreeing the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the resolution? Chair hears none and the report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none and the main question is ordered. Question is on the adoption of the resolution. All those in favor of the resolution will vote yea, opposed nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the adoption of the resolution, the yeas are 46 and the nays are 0. The resolution, having received the requisite 2/3 constitutional majority, is therefore adopted. Secretary, read the caption to House Resolution 1243.
House Resolution 1243 by Representatives Martin of the 49th and others, a resolution proposing an amendment to the Constitution so as to authorize creation of the Georgia Next Generation 911 Fund, to provide for submission of this amendment for ratification or rejection and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Committee of the Senate on Public Safety recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Albers, Chairman. Mr. President, that completes the order.
I recognize the senator from the 30th to speak to the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just like House Resolution 251, we voted on this resolution, H.R. 1243, a few weeks ago, did not get the votes needed. What this bill does is sets up the framework to establish the next-gen 911 system to help our citizens and first responders in time of emergencies. If there are no questions, Mr. President, I will yield the well.
There are no questions, Senator. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none, and the previous question is ordered. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none. Report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the adoption of the resolution. All those in favor of the resolution vote yea, opposed nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the adoption of the resolution, the yeas are 49 and the nays are 0. The resolution, having received the requisite 2/3 constitutional majority, is therefore adopted. It's good news, ladies and gentlemen. Lunch has arrived. So we are going to take a lunch break and stand at ease until 1 p.m.